I'm your host. And my other co-host, Rick Wayne.
Hey, everybody, what's going on?
Rick is in California. He just landed out there this morning. How's it going, Rick?
It's going great. I hear a delay in this. Do you hear a delay?
Yeah, you got a delay somewhere. I don't know where or why, but
I know what it is.
We'll figure it out. But anyways, Rick's in California.
I was posting the show. That's why we was hearing the delay. No, I'm in California this week for the Fat Thor Lockdown Challenge. Just got here earlier this morning at 8:00 this morning and been running around and seeing the scenes and gonna go do a couple shows over the weekend. I had a great flight. This place is great, man. It's I'm enjoying the benefits of California. I will.
Well, good. Hey, we'll get to what you're doing out there. You're going to do some shows out there, some comedy shows. Like we talked, you got what, 2 or 3 comedy shows you're doing out there while you're there?
I believe it's 2 right now. I was looking right before you brought me on to try to find out what I'm doing. Hopefully before the end of the show, I'll let you know. But I come up here to start working on all this and didn't bring all my stuff. Some of it's still downstairs. So sorry. But yeah, supposedly 2 shows. One, I think we're trying to do one tonight, and we got one tomorrow evening as well. So,
well, folks, we have some killer, amazing guests on the show tonight. Like every show just keeps getting better and better. Tonight's probably going to be our best show thus far. And I can't thank Rick enough for putting this together. Rick, you did a great job once again, brother. You did a great job. I was blown away when you called me and said, you know, I think I'm going to get these folks on the show. I was like, there's no way he is getting who I think he is getting. And he said, yes, I am. I'm getting them. And I said, no, you're not. He said, yeah. And then he called me last night. Said, I got them. They're on.
And they were great too. They said, you know, is it too late to do the show tomorrow, or should we reschedule for next Friday? I said, no,
we
told never Samuel, too late.
Yeah,
come on the show.
Exactly. We told Samuel Jackson to go to hell. We told him to go away. Just go away. Just go away. You're
I made sure I called you just to surprise you with this guest. So
exactly.
Thought it was just funny that, you know, we keep bringing in Hollywood on this show. Have a lot of actors, and then I go to Hollywood, and then we get yet another actor on the show that's fantastic guest. You know, so really excited to have both of these people on the.
Exactly. Hey, don't forget, folks, if you're watching, you can comment, and we'll post your comment and questions. We'll even answer them if you ask. And we got Justin Simmons says, new, I guess, for you being out there in Hollywood. But, hey, let's get our guests in here because they are backstage and waiting to talk, and I'm excited about this show.
I need to have a great introduction, Andy.
Oh, I hope so. I hope I don't screw this up. Anyways, folks, I know you've been waiting for this. But we've got some special guests. They have a YouTube thing, a YouTube channel, and basically it's called Keith and Pinky. And they basically
Hollywood
Tales, Keith and Pinky, Hollywood Tales. They go around tracking down major stars. But that's not just the kicker. One of them actually is a major star. That's right.
Deep roots in Hollywood.
Deep Hollywood roots. I don't know if you remember this guy, but I sure as heck do because I quote one of the most famous lines he's ever uttered out of his mouth on one of the best iconic movies ever. The dishes are done, man. Welcome, Keith Coogan and Pinky Coogan, to the show.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, we're excited about this. Let me tell you.
Deep roots in Hollywood.
Deep Hollywood. Deep Hollywood.
Deep Hollywood.
Deep Hollywood. Deep Hollywood. Yes.
So I know we were talking before. Where are you guys at right now? Tell the folks where you're at, where you're hanging out.
We're hanging out. We are hanging out safe from coronavirus and COVID.
Gotcha.
And an undisclosed location.
There you go.
And, excited to be. I love that with the even as we're kind of trapped inside the Zoom and the video conferencing and StreamYard. I think we're on StreamYard right now, and live to everybody that everyone's coming together And through this kind of, video conferencing and stuff, I've had so many great conversations and friends and interviews and stuff like that through this. So it's a great tool. So it's like we're in the room with you guys. Hi.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's great. So, Pinky, let me ask you a question.
Well, hold on.
What? Go ahead, Rick.
All right.
What you got?
I was just going to say it's Pinky's first podcast.
That's what I was about to say. It's Pinky's first podcast. So welcome to your first podcast. Thank you for letting us be your first.
The Fat Thor.
I don't know that too many people get thanked for being the first, but you're being thanked for being yes.
Fat Thor busted your podcast cherry with his hammer. So
that's awesome. It. That is it. Welcome to the shows. So tell us a little bit about you, Pinky. Tell the folks about you, what you're doing, what you got going, and what you got going with the YouTube. Because I watched every episode so far, so I know what you got, and I got some questions for you. So let the folks. Oh yeah, that's about you. It ain't just about Keith. Keith is on the back seat right now.
That's right. This is all about Pinky.
Nobody ever asked me about me. I don't know.
Oh, I've done my research.
I started my fandom very early. I remember being 5 and having a picture of Fonzie on my what am I doing?
The table to chase the camera.
Oh, I had a picture of Fonzie on my wall that I kissed every night before I went to bed. And then I grew up into loving Ricky Schroeder. Ricky Schroeder adorned every spot on my wall. When I was 12, I had a birthday cake with his face on it. I ate his lips. I was very proud that I ate his lips. When I met him, I was like, don't tell him you met his lips. Don't tell him. And then, of course, I told him I ate his lips. And he's like, you ate my lips? And I was like, yes. Because he's like, you ate my face? And I was like, no, I just ate your lips. And he's like, thank you. But so when I was really young, or when I was 12, 13, I wrote letters to my favorites who were Ricky Schroeder, Jason Bateman, and Sean Astin.
Oh, really?
And the only response I received was Jason Bateman's fan club saying, come to his play. And my mom took me to his play and I got to meet him. And then
wow.
And then from there, I've just been able to spot celebrities. Like I have some thing in me where I can tell where they are. Like I have, you call it my sixth sense.
I call it your Aaron Eckhart. She knew who Aaron Eckhart was before Aaron Brockovich. Like oh, I already know. Like I like to know that because I consider myself a character actor, and I kind of like to be able to spot. I knew who Steve Buscemi was before Boardwalk, that kind of a thing. But
right.
She goes deep cuts, and she knows their names and credits, which just blows me away. Encyclopedic knowledge.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was able to pick out. I was at a cheerleading competition when I was 16, and I saw Josh Brolin walk through in Taft, California. I was like, that's Brand. Brand is there. And I checked him out.
Right.
It was around Goonies, and then at Disneyland, I saw the cast of 90210 when they were in their peak and got to talk to Luke Perry for a while. And then I started doing Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival in 2002. I worked up at Sundance. I volunteered for them for a decade. And I just, I remember the first, when I was my first year I was there, I had a disposable camera and I just wanted to be around celebrities, because I'm from a small town in California. And so you don't see celebrities except that we lived kind of near Michael Jackson. And that was the big thing, but I never saw him. I don't know why I digressed to that.
No, that gives a perspective that because when you started, you were just taking pictures of celebrities.
I just wanted
celebrity. You go, snap. Oh, cool! I got a picture.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted. There's one. I took it with my camera. There's this feeling of pride. It's my picture on this.
Right, it's through your lens.
Yeah, and I went to take a picture of James LeGros.
Chaz Palomino in Living in Oblivion, who's just doing a great Brad Pitt.
It's from Point Break.
I know it's Point Break. I know I'm from the weird art film that's about movie making. So, which is great is, what did you asked him?
So I went and I was taking a picture of him. He goes, how about you wait for me after and I'll take it with you? And I was like, with me?
Never occurred to
never thought about it.
To be in a picture. This is before the whole.
I mean, I had a picture with Jason Bateman. I had a picture with Josh Brolin, but I didn't. But that was years ago. So it never occurred to me that you could ask celebrities to take a picture with you. And he waited outside for me after the film, and we took a picture together. And that was my first Sundance. And I ended up meeting Robin Williams, Matt Damon, and like several people that first year, you know, and it wasn't like I got a lot of pictures, but I got, you know, pretty significant names. And then from then on, I just got more and more like secure and asking, and, you know, a lot of people are going to say no, and that's fine. They don't have to take it, you know, but a lot more say yes. So I don't know why I'm so cool right now. All of a sudden.
well, let me ask this. Well, let me ask. Did you
schedule for movies and what cast members are dating or married to other famous people? And she'd be like, there's a showing of this. Maybe her husband, who's really hot right now, will go and support her. And so you'll also find that you can get other people.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of backdoor ways.
So I'm fascinated this because I'm from the other side of the rail, the red carpet, the rope. And one story that broke my heart is she's getting ready to go to Extra to get somebody, and they record Extra, and anybody can go up and watch recording and stuff. And you're pretty close. You can ask for
not
pictures.
anymore. They changed it, but whatever.
COVID.
Yeah.
And she's making a sign for somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, like picture please.
This wasn't at Extra, but okay, go ahead.
Look, I made it through the 90s. I'm surprised any memories are in there. And then she flips the sign over and she starts making a sign for a different actor. Right. And I go, wait a second. Because I think I remember I did like a Rick Dees Into the Night once, and maybe one fan had like I Heart Keith. So she's like, yeah, as soon as I get that person, I get the picture and flip the sign around and then get the next pick person. And my heart broke because then I thought the fans have been lying to me, you know, faking their love for you just to get that picture and autograph. And then they're like, next.
Sign helps. That's all I'm saying.
So, you know, Pokemon and like that feeling of like, got to catch them all and make a collection and upgrade them, and like collections or completion in a game like Red Dead Redemption 2. Where you have I gotta get 100% completion, get every collectible. Mm-hmm. That's what I think's going on in the brain here.
She's collecting her own baseball cards. That's what she's doing.
Exactly.
With movie.
That's
with
why
movie
we'll be like, oh, I got him. Oh, I need him. Oh, I want that. You know, like you talking like they're not really people, just like
they're like a.
I've said that to them.
Who's on your list that you haven't got yet?
Yeah.
Rick asked, who's on your list that you haven't got yet that's on your hit list or your top hit list, your top 5 or 10 that you're tracking down?
My top people are people I'm never going to get, so I just need to accept it. Like Robert Smith from The Cure.
Okay.
Taylor Swift, Harry Styles. Who's one of my really big ones, though? Oh, Renee Zellweger. And is there another one I really want? I don't know why I'm asking you. Jim Carrey was mine for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And this is just a sidetrack, funny story.
Right.
Jim, I love Jim Carrey and always have. And he was doing a book signing on the day we got married. And he was doing a book signing in Santa Monica, and we got married in Malibu. And his book signing was like in the middle of the day. And I was like, I could just leave after the wedding, like sneak over and get. And he's like, you're not going to a book signing on our wedding day. I'm like, but it's Jim Carrey. Like
we were gonna do like a little setup in the morning. Then you're gonna go off, get your hair done in the morning, go to the venue, then go get Jim, and then get back in time just to be walked down the aisle. And I'm like, okay, I support you, whatever you want to do, but is that? And she said, fine, that's ridiculous.
But I feel like it paid off later because I got the greatest photo with Jim Carrey.
You know, there are times that you wait and like people go into a theater and you ask and they'll be like, oh, later. And then you wait and wait and they don't, and they come out another door, or they do it, but they don't do everybody and you get left out. And so people invest some time. I don't think I've seen other people, because there's Pinky loves to get pictures with folks. I love to experience and hear stories and watch how the actors are. This is all happening to them. But other people want the autograph. And there's people that collect them and display them and love them. And there's people that sell them. There's dealers. We love them all. That's great. It is what it is. Right. And so there's that energy. There's some energy of I've got to pay the rent. And here's a story about Matt Damon. When the economy kind of tanked in 2008 and autograph collectors were making like $4,000 to $5,000 a month or something on autographs, and then it went down to like $2,000 a month. Something happened with the economy, and Matt Damon asked one of the graphers, he's like, are you okay? Are you making your rent? And he's sitting there just signing. It's called getting racked, where you just get a rack of pictures to sign. And, you know, there's nice celebrities that will sit there regardless if there's a movie being promoted or not. And they will do. And at one point they'll go, all right, that's kind of enough. But they're very generous with it. And there's others that just won't. Nope, not going to do it. And some you catch them on a good day and some on a bad day. So it's fascinating to me to watch her do her thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. Is like you being on the flip side, because you were on the other side, you know, being a child actor, being in every top sitcom there was out there between the 70s, 80s, 90s, being out, you know, being in Chips. I mean, just being Knight Rider. I mean, everything, you know, being the guy that was in everything. So what's it like being on the flip side? Is it nice being on the flip side?
You gotta drink milk and Pepsi with Laverne. Come on.
Well, we'll do, you know, we'll still go to events and still work, and I have, you know, PR and all that stuff. So I go to red carpets and we'll go and walk around. First, we'll go and say hi, and outside of the event, we'll say hi to all of our friends that are like graphers and collectors and selfie people. Then we'll go check in with press, walk the red carpet. And what's great is we'll just stop at the end of the red carpet, and Pinky will catch everybody that comes on, and then we'll go into the event, get our seats, then walk back outside, check in with our friends. So we'll be on both sides of the velvet rope at the same time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She gets to see it through mine.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So you're basically
we met at an autograph convention.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, how did y'all meet? I was going to ask, how did y'all meet?
Sorry?
I said I was going to ask is how did y'all meet? Was it at one of these events or through one of these events? Was she stalking you? I mean,
no, I don't think she knew who the hell I was. It was the first autograph convention that lays context for some of it, but it was the first time. And Scotty Schwartz from the Toy and Christmas Story Kidco, Scotty Schwartz was throwing an autograph show, and he said, you know, I was hesitant because I was like, you felt like you're standing on a corner for $20, and it's like that's expensive for fans. But then I did it, and as I'm doing it, I see how the fans just love it. They love, you know, talking, meeting, and hearing the stories, and they'll gladly, you know, it's funny that genre stuff, like especially horror, are very fetishistic, and they will buy the doll, the DVD, the box set, the Blu-ray, the sign, the thing, the pop vinyl, all that stuff.
Like Kevin Smith fans.
It's like Kevin Smith fans, very fetishistic. And oh yeah, totally. So yeah, there's the media, and my grandfather too. He also was heavily merchandised, so it's part of the reason why he made a lot of money is, you know, as a 6-year-old, because he was on peanut butter tins and, you know, pencil cases and sheet music and the haircut, and was heavily merchandised. So it's part of it.
Right. And for those who don't know who your grandfather was.
Oh, so my grandfather was Jackie Coogan, the original Uncle Fester in the 60s Addams Family, and also the kid with Charlie Chaplin in 1921. And he had a 65-year career in Hollywood, and he has a street named after him outside of Sony Studios, formerly MGM. And was like the world's first film child star, and has a labor act since he lost a lot of his money. There were no rules on how much to protect of a child's earnings. Wound up that he really didn't have any protection for that. So they made sure that future generations of child performers, as myself, were protected under a law named after him.
The Coogan Act.
The Coogan Act. Coogan Act, yeah.
So she didn't have any idea what any of that was. Matter of fact, she was a Munsters fan and didn't even watch Addams Family.
What?
Who Keith Coogan was.
What?
I wasn't there for him.
Growing Pains was sitting across from me. So Jeremy Miller, little Ben Seaver, and Tracy, Carol Seaver were crying. I'm old friends. I was on the show. I used to have the same agent as Tracy's. Tracy's dad was an agent and stuff. And so we've known each other for years. And I'm also next to Jeremy Licht from Twilight Zone and Hogan's Family, right?
Which I love, yeah.
Which you love. So she's getting their autographs. And she has a friend who is brought a video store cutout of the cityscape of Chicago, a dangling rope with the 4 kids for Inventions of Baby. He's like got these really cool pieces and posters and stuff, like 5 of them, for me to sign. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, Keith Coogan's never done a show before. I've got to get him to sign these things.
Oh my God, I don't
And so
know
they
who
were
Keith
having
is.
a Keith Coogan emergency.
I'm like, I don't know who Keith Coogan is. There'll never be a Keith Coogan emergency for me. So no.
Now there's one every morning.
But all my friends were like flipping it. Yeah, I mean, there's a huge like underground community of people in LA that do this, that do the pictures and the autographs. And of course, we all know each other because we're standing at rails and outside establishments for very long amounts of time, and everybody talks. So it's funny because people be like, how do you know how somebody is? And I'm like, because we all talk. We will all tell you if somebody's nice or not nice. Like, we know.
Right.
Granted, everybody has good and bad days, and you can't just judge that for without.
Right.
But all my friends were losing it over Keith Coogan, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, maybe I saw him eventually babysitting 20 years ago, but I don't know who this guy is. So, but because they were wigging, and I write an 80s column, I was like, maybe I should go interview this guy. I don't know. So I went by his table, and I asked him how much for a photo.
And I said $20.
Oh, $20 for somebody I don't know.
Oh,
Most stars will do an autograph for 20 or 30, but a selfie will just be like $10 or included. So I said that. They said it's $20 for an autograph. The selfie comes free with it. So I made her buy an autograph.
I don't know anything on his table, so I have to pick out a picture. I was like, whatever. So I pick out like cleaned up Kenny from Don't Tell Mom. I didn't see Don't Tell Mom Babysitters at the time, so I'd never seen it. So he writes dishes are done, man. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, no idea who this guy is. And we were kind of flirty over the table, but nothing like huge until he got up to come take the picture.
I stood up from the table. I walked around to go take the picture. We got this far from each other.
And we're like, oh, great. There you are. You're looking through my whole life.
Oh, God. I was angry.
Do you still have that picture?
Ridiculous.
What?
Do you still have that
Still
picture?
have what?
The picture that he signed.
We have the picture, and after we took the picture, she goes, well, will you do the quick 2-question interview based on like being recognized in fandom? And I said, sure. So we have this interview video that she took on the day we met, and there is it looks like we're just going to start making out right away.
Yeah, so right after he came up to me before a picture, he goes, are we going to make out right now? And I go, I don't know, you're going to charge me?
you're like, you should have said, I already bought the lap dance.
I know. So he kissed me, and my friends were like, what is happening? I'm like, I think we're in love. I don't know. I think we're in love. And they're like, yeah, sure. And we were kind of in love.
And now we're married 7 years coming up October.
And we got married. We saw each other again 2 months later. It's a whole, we'll put it on the, you don't want the whole thing. We'll put it on the YouTube, but
yeah, put it on the YouTube.
we saw each other in 2 months, got engaged, got married 6 months later on Jackie Coogan's birthday.
So we met February 2nd, and we're married October 26th.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And I guess it's all right. It doesn't fucking out with it.
Working out for me. I don't know how she puts up with me. I'm not giving it like Kevin Smith. I'm not giving you my Twitter to go posting tweets.
What?
That tweet he said about how he loves Jennifer and like how her da-da-da owns me or something.
I
Like
didn't
that. It was
see
a bad, you never mind.
I
It was a
didn't
whole
see it.
inside thing.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on.
No,
She's
but
also responsible for me being in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
oh, really?
I kind of know.
Yep.
Oh,
Absolutely.
really?
My only interaction with Kevin Smith, and I'm a huge Clerks fan, and I saw this independent filmmaker in the 90s. I'm already making movies, but they're backed by studios.
Right.
And one of the movies I worked on, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, was produced by Outlaw Pictures. They're the people that produced Sex, Lies, and Videotape. So trust me, independent film was very on my mind. I was familiar with art films and independent films. So when Clerks came on and, was a cultural phenomenon,
Right.
and he turned that into subsequent films and a universe and a career. I'm very aware of Kevin and a huge fan. And I also know that his fans love him. So I also love Jaws, favorite movie. So I'm at Smod Castle on Santa Monica Boulevard in LA.
Wait, I just have to say, this was his Kevin Smith story when we met. This is his
Yeah,
whole
this
Kevin
is my-
Smith that he's
My
been
only
telling for
interaction
years.
with Kevin Smith when I
This
met
is so
Pinky was
sad.
this.
I'd met Kevin like several times by this time. He's always so nice. Go
So
ahead.
we watch a screening of The Shark Is Still Working, that great like 3.5-hour documentary that's on the anniversary Blu-ray. And I met the filmmakers, J. Michael Roddy of that, and I sat in Smod Castle. and we watched it. And afterwards, in the lobby of his theater, Kevin Smith's down there, and I'm freaking out. But I'm across the room, and he's 3 deep of people all around him wanting to talk to him, and he's totally giving him all his time. And I'm like, I don't want to bother him. There's too many people there. So from across the room, I'm watching, and I see Kevin kind of do this, like look over towards me, and he goes, "Hey." And I'm like, I got a head nod. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, I got a head nod from Kevin Smith. That is so cool.
But this is his whole story. I was like, that's your story? You got a head nod?
Hey,
Hey, what's up? So I go to, you know who's on my list is the guy from Goldbergs that plays Pops.
George Segal.
So when George got, so I have everybody from the Goldberg except George Segal. So he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I went to it, and Kevin was there. I think he was one of the speakers. And so afterwards, George shot me down, by the way. Sad. So afterwards, sorry.
So I'm at work anyway. You're at
So Kevin's like, coming around for pictures, and I got a picture with him, and I said, hey, because in Kevin's speech, he mentioned something about like everyone has their own stories about people that inspire them. And so I don't know why, but I was like, I'm going to tell my story about Keith's story. So I tell him Keith's head nod story, and Kevin goes, I know who Keith Coogan is. He goes, dishes are done, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, Keith will die. That you know who he is. And he's like, or I made movies. I watched a lot of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, my husband. So when he did, so one of his, what did we go to at the Improv?
Oh, we went to Babylon.
Yeah, we went to Babylon.
Mark Brandon.
And we decided to take him a dish, a signed dish. Dishes are done, man.
It was the week of the Weinstein fallout.
Right.
And he was dealing with his first 3 movies being tied up in Miramax intellectual property, and he's getting a lot of slack. And that day, he decided to donate all of his residuals from those films to women in film. He's like, quickest way to fix this is get more women on the set. So he's having a weird week, as he puts it in the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're, we go to the Improv and we check in and we get our tickets. And it's a few minutes before, and Pinky says, let's go around back.
Well, I'd researched pictures because this is the best way to find out where people come or go.
To see where people got pictures of the venue in the past.
And in the past, people have only got him, it looks like, from the parking lot. So I'm like, we've got to go to the parking lot. I don't know what time he gets there, if we need to go before or after, but maybe there's some time. So we go to the back, and we're like standing there like do, and Kevin drives up, and we're like so embarrassed that we're like standing back there like lurkers. So we like jump in the bushes or something. Like we're so dumb. And then he drives around again, and then we hit again, and then he drives by again, and we're like, woo. And then I think he told somebody. So then somebody came over to us, and they're like, you can't be back here. We're like, okay, we'll leave.
We're just trying to say hi to Kevin. We had a gift for him. We wanted to give him something. And they're like, what is it? I'll tell him.
Yeah, he's like, what's your name? I'll tell him. And so we're like, Keith and Pinky Coogan. And he's like, okay. So we turn around, we start walking, all like, okay, well, we tried.
Hey,
Kevin will see you. And then they called us over, and we got to talk to Kevin. We gave him the dish. You said,
and I said, hey, I was really inspired about what you said about like kind of asking for what you want and how other people inspire you. And I would love to know, and at Reboot, it was in the news as being greenlit. And I said, I wanted to know if I could be in Reboot anyway. And Kevin goes, you're in. Totally blew me away. And,
Nice.
I'm pretty jaded Hollywood. You don't have the job until your second paycheck clears.
Right.
It's got to be cut. Look at Eric Stoltz in Back to the Future. They were,
exactly
scenes from finishing that movie when it could happen. And I like to say to like fresh green actors, and they're worried. I go, look, I've been fired off of more jobs than most people even get. And so I'm like doubtful until I see a call sheet and I have a mark to stand on, and it's happening. Too many people have said, but damn it, sticking on him. Oh, and I had no way of getting in touch with Kevin.
Wait, but he also at that night, he brought him up on stage during the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And he
said
he's going to be in Reboot. And I'm like, well, now it's on record.
Now it's on record.
So a couple of weeks go by or months, and I hear they've set a start date, and it's getting, and I'm like, well, I got to somehow get a hold of it. I don't know how to get a hold of him. I have no idea how to get a hold of him. Nobody's got his number. I talked to him.
You didn't get his digits? You didn't get his digits?
I know. No, I know.
I could have just tweeted him probably back
then.
So I asked my agent, and she goes, well, just get your info to his production. Get my info. Get the agent's info, meaning to the production company, and then they'll work it out. So I'm like, all right, I just got to somehow and randomly I run into Kevin Smith on the Sony Studios lot. He's directing a Goldbergs episode. Actually, I kind of see Jorts step in and out of the studio door. I'm like, that's who else? There's Jorts. Yeah. And sure enough, he steps back again and laughs. And it's Kevin. So I go up and say hi. It was post-heart attack. So, I'm glad you're alive. And I said, hey, I was talking to my agent and I didn't know how to get details. And Kevin just goes, give me your phone. Grabs my phone, puts his number in it, and he goes, well, then we'll hook you up with the producer. And I stayed on it, and things got rescheduled and this and that. Took a lot of work, and they didn't have money to fly us out or anything. We had
we don't care, we'll go.
We happened to be in the area at the beginning of filming. Yeah. And that didn't work out, so we went back, and whatever it took, I was like, I need to be in a Kevin Smith movie. Right. So officially, and since Thor is Marvel, right. And it was an Adventures of Babysitting, we've now wrapped fully back all around to Stan Lee, including Coogan in the View Askew universe, which is also Marvel canon. So there you go.
Boom.
Dishes are done, man.
Boom. Dishes are done, man.
Then they're like going to make Mallrats 2. And Pinky is like, why don't you call Kevin? And I go, I'm going to give it a movie rest because there's a lot of Coogan love.
Oh, I don't know.
With that, I was like, you should send him a thank you card or a thank you text. Just be like, thanks for having us in the movie, you know.
And I go, fine. I go, okay. So I sent, hey, Kevin, I just want to say really thank you. We had a lot of fun doing it. Really appreciate it. And I get a response, do you want to see the movie? Now, they just wrapped. And I was like,
it was like a month.
Yeah,
it was a couple weeks.
He had just finished his edit for it.
Right.
And
he goes, you want to come over and watch it? We're like, yeah, we're on our way.
Right.
He pulls up a laptop and it's plugged into his big screen. And he's like, I couldn't do any of this. Kevin, Jay had to come over and hook this up because it's not really on brand. But Kevin couldn't hook up the multimedia thing, so Jay Muse did. I love it. He goes, it's not really on brand. And we sat, from the laptop, he put it up on the screen, and it had all the green screen. It was just green or blue. All of the cuts were bad. No music, temp music. No credits, no special, nothing. And it was hysterical. It was, and he's like, I'm still working on chopping about 4 more minutes. And I'm like, not mine. Moving anything that he really loved into the end credits. And we were talking about Cannonball Run and Hooper. How they put the bloopers at the end of Hooper.
Right.
And it's just so fun to be able to be he goes, you're the first people to see it.
Oh, he's amazing. I can't believe it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, we've heard so many good things. And we had Ernie Doyle on our show a couple of weeks ago, who was, in Clerks with Keith, with Kevin and Beth. And so now you're here. We're this close to having Kevin on this thing. So, but that's awesome. But everybody keeps saying how awesome he is. And that's great. That is a cool story, though, how you and Kevin got together and you got into the movie, because we don't know that stuff. We don't know the back end of what goes on. We just know, oh, look, he's on there. That's so cool.
When I went and seen it when it first come out, I like that they referenced "Dishes Are Done," man, early in the movie, and then I was like, oh yeah, man. And then when they get to Chronicon, and then you come out, and with Diedrich Bader too, no less, which he was hilarious because he was in Strikes Back. But I just like the whole. Wait for it. Dishes are done.
Right. And I was doing it, and we did a take, and Kevin goes, we're going to go right away. And then he goes, all right, do a thing where you go, And he goes, I want you to do a wait for it. So he told me to do that right before that take. He kept saying, watch a take and then get an idea, give you a piece of direction, and then you do it again. And that would snowball into something else. It went quick, man. We were done, and I was like, is it over? Yeah. I had no idea.
We were on set, and we had gotten there, and it was the first time we'd seen Kevin in person after the heart attack. And I just wanted to give him like a huge hug,
Right.
And we walked in and they sat me, Keith went to go film and they sat me next to, just like his mom and sister and brother, I'm just sitting there. And so he comes in and he goes down the line hugging, and then he like gets to me, and I think he went to shake my hand, and I gave him a hug, and I was like, he doesn't know who I am. Like, he has no idea who I am right now. But then he came back in and got me, and he's like, Keith's filming. You got to see this. So he brings me in the whole time, even after he was done. He's like, they're going to cut me out. They're cutting me out of this film. Like, I know. And we went and ate with somebody at lunch who was like, because we were only set for one day. So we had no idea of the other things throughout the movie. And they're like, there's a string of dishes are done throughout the movie, so I don't think
Because
he's
that
going to
was a
get
great
cut out.
considering it was set up twice before, and we're like, we
What?
didn't know it was being
Yeah, we didn't
set
know
up.
Thor said it. We didn't know.
Right.
Nice. Some
That
nice,
was so funny.
nice Easter eggs all the way through, so you knew you were solid.
So many.
Yeah, really, really big shock.
Well,
Yeah.
Keith, you're in another one of my favorite '80s movies that it's funny. I really love this movie when it came out. I watch it now kind of differently, but it's still a great movie, which was Hiding Out with John Cryer. Yeah. It's just the only thing I've seen it not too long ago, and the only thing is like, he's hiding out from the mob in high school, and you're trying to help him, but he's like 28. And then he has a high school girlfriend, which poses a whole nother problem. It's like you need to be on the run. That should be part 2, hiding out and on the run, because I think you're breaking some more laws.
Oh, I loved Hiding Out. It was my second movie. I stole the script off of Anthony Rapp's coffee table. We were shooting Adventures in Babysitting, and Anthony thought that the character of Patrick was too close to Daryl from Adventures in Babysitting. And he goes, I want to try something different. So I said, can I go out for it? He said, go for it. I called my agent, met with them, walked in, and I said, the audition, I had some balls, I'll tell you that. I walked in and I said, teenagers don't talk like this. We should work to rewrite the lines more like a kid would really talk. And they said, oh, let's introduce you to Marty. He's the writer, producer, who was in the, so I said this in front of the writer. I was like, well, I'll never work for De Laurentiis Entertainment Group again. But somehow I got it. And we learned later that John put the whole movie together. He found the material, found the production company, put it together. And he said it was really hard and didn't bankrupt anybody, but it also didn't make, millions and millions of dollars. It came out. It did get a theatrical release. I love it. I think it's a fun little movie.
I think it's a very original. I remember when I saw it, maybe like on cable back in the 80s, but I was like, this is very original story. And I like the whole concept of it. Just like I say, watching it when you get a little older, you're just like, okay. But other than that,
a string of swapping old young, so vice versa, and like Freaky Friday type movies.
Right.
Vice versa, there was like Father Like Son. Remember, like Father Like Son?
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, I love that. I think
in a way this is one of those because he's going back to high school, and it leans on John Cryer's strength, which he looks really young for his age.
Yeah. Not with that beard. The beard really.
The beard, the big Boston beard.
We went to his book signing and we sat in the audience and he hadn't seen us. And Keith,
they go, do you have any questions? And I stood up and I said, what was it like working with your real mother playing your aunt? Because, Lucy Cryer or whatever. And
your mom in it.
Yeah. And he goes, oh, well, it was Keith. A great moment when we totally surprised him at a book signing.
He's so nice, too.
He's so nice.
Oh, that's awesome. So let me ask a question. Go back, and because a lot of people don't realize, like we talked about your grandfather and his roots and all that, and Adam's family, and then you're the grandson of Fester from the Adams family, and then you're working with, then you start working with Sean Astin, who is son of Gomez Adams. Now, did y'all know each other and hang out on set there and then just kind of develop from there, and y'all just done stuff, or was it just being part of the business and all that?
Sure. We're kind of family. I know my grandfather loved Patty Duke, or Anna as she's known. And that when they did Adam's Family, so they were still close. So when I was born in 1970, Adam's Family was like 64 to 66.
Right. You were 50?
But in 70, I think 8, they did a Adam's Family reunion, like a Halloween special.
Right.
And it was really bad, and it was shot on video, and it was in color.
Right.
And Adam's Family fans aren't a real fan of this production, but I was on the set for that.
Gotcha.
But I've known Sean and Mackenzie Astin since we were, knee-high to a grasshopper. So to be able to go on a set, and also me and Sean Astin had a production company making short films and stuff like that prior to doing Toy Soldiers even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so it was, I was actually cast first on Toy Soldiers me and Lou Gossett Jr. were cast first, and I got to sit on the other side of the casting table while everybody came and read for the part. And I read usually I would be the one reading the Lou Gossett material. So I got to do the final audition for Sean Astin playing Lou Gossett. And I've known Sean for years and years, and I know he's great. So it was neat being able to work with Sean. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Has anybody ever approached you or ever pitched an idea about you doing Uncle Fester and maybe animation or even some sort of live action or
coincidentally,
has that ever been?
Coincidentally, since my grandfather was born in 1914, in 1964 he would have been 50 when he portrayed Uncle Fester. I turned 50 in January. So I am the same age as my grandfather was when he played Uncle Fester.
Wow.
There
it is. There it is.
Gomez. I could do it.
Was you a fan of I'm like a lot of people. When I think of the Addams Family, I just think I know that there was like a comic strip before, but I think of the TV show, And I'm open to the renditions of what happens afterwards, like they did in the 90s with the Addams Family Values and Addams Family, reboot. Do you like the sort of new adaptations of the Addams Family being you have ties to the old one?
Well, you're very sensitive to it. And I did notice that in both Addams Family and Addams Family Values, that the identity of Fester is in question. He's a con artist, or he's not a con artist, or he's been lost. And so what it allowed was, because audiences of all the characterizations, that one's pretty specific. Even with the fat suit and the makeup, Christopher Lloyd, he had to do the mannerisms. So what it does is allow the audiences to first go, that's not Uncle Fester.
Right.
And then the story wraps around that it is, and it allowed you time to kind of get, used to a new portrayal. I think, but also because honestly, the portrayals were dead on to the TV show. I think that Julia, what's his name, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston were doing as much as close to the spirit of the original series. Christina Ricci, what a find! That deadpan as
that is
my God, material, and then they increased her part for the sequels. So we liked them and watched them. We watched out though because my grandfather and my mother have fought for a character's right to embody a character so that they can perform that later. So if Jim Carrey, as part of a college speech, does a few impressions of the mask, he's not going to get sued by the studio. But that also means that the studio has to acknowledge that there's certain traits of a character that are inherently performance rights. So when they made the movies, they said, listen, we're not doing anything off of the series. It's entirely off of the original Charles Addams strip.
Right.
Then they stick a light bulb in his mouth, and then it becomes intellectual property of the series, because that light bulb wasn't in the original strips. So there's little details like that I find it's interesting. So we were keeping an eye on that just to make sure that there wasn't too much ripping off of his image and likeness or his kind of character portrayal of it.
Right.
And I want to do the musical. If there's like a dinner theater, like we'll do rotation, like Man of La Mancha one night and then the Addams Family musical. And I want to be Uncle Fester. Trust me, the last animated movie came out and it was like, and Nick Kroll as Uncle Fester. I'm like, my phone works.
Right. It's a logical sort of connection too. I think that would be more of a selling point, in my opinion.
You're like, look, I'm alive. I have first dibs on this. Okay, I have first dibs on all this.
I always appreciate it as a fan when I'm watching something and they tip their hat to the original. Like,
absolutely,
exactly, 100%.
Like Point Break put in a few of the things. I didn't like the new Point Break, but I love the fact that they put in a few of the people from the first one, like as recognition. Like, then it made it okay for me.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like I was just gonna say, I feel like if you give the nod to something like how Ghostbusters did with, I didn't feel as bad. At first I was like, I don't know how I feel about a new Ghostbusters being rebooted, but I really liked it. I think they gave the nod to the past Ghostbusters movie, and now they're going to make another Ghostbusters movie. But nevertheless, I think that as long as you just give the nod to what you're rebooting or remaking or whatever.
Right. What I've got very mixed feelings about reboots as a fan, and I've got mixed feelings about them because they never seem to go as well as the first one, and and when they came out with the rumors, "Don't tell mom the Babysitters Dead" reboot was coming out, I said, "Oh," I was like on the thing. I was out there on social media, go, "Oh hell no! Oh, don't touch it! Don't touch a good thing! Don't, don't touch it, please! Don't screw. All y'all do is screw stuff up."
Sure.
I
totally get it. And, a lot of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of 80s and 90s remakes is because the Writers Guild of America renegotiated a deal on copyright extension. What it means is that if a movie studio buys a script as a work for hire from a writer and they buy the intellectual property and they make a movie out of it,
right.
After 35 years, it reverts back to the author unless the studio does something else with that property. So they have to remake it, but they lose the rights to that property. Spider-Man was more of a truncated schedule because the deal between Sony and Marvel was if you don't do one every 2 years, you'll lose it.
See, I just thought it's because they're, Hollywood is running out of good writers and things to write. They're just running out of ideas. That was just my thought. It's like y'all don't have anything new to come up with. Now we got to steal from what was great. That was my, as a fan.
Sure, but like Kevin pointed out, are they stealing it to honor it? Are they stealing it to make money off of it? Are they stealing it because they love it? Is it a blend of a little bit of both? And in many cases, it's just the mechanism of holding on to the intellectual property rights is the reason that they need to remake it. And because you go, audiences didn't ask for this, or the audiences aren't asking for a remake of certain things.
Right.
Well, just keep that in mind when you do make it, that you do have to contemporize it. So I think it's important, unless you really go deep dive and try to recreate the lenses and the filters and the costumes of the 80s and 90s and really do a shot for shot like Psycho.
Right.
Psycho is a shot for shot remake.
Right.
What was the point of it? The point of it was to renew Universal's intellectual property with the material.
Right.
And how better to do it than do it line for line, shot for shot.
Right. Yep. It was. Didn't Gus Van who did that? Gus Van Sant?
Right. What'd you say, Rick?
I said, didn't Gus Van Sant he did the new Psycho with Anne Heche and I can't remember. Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn, yeah. Yeah, you can put them side by side and they both match up. It's like scene for scene, everything.
Well,
and you might say that the new one isn't as effective as the original. So it wasn't just the shots or the lines or the music. It was those particular performers doing it.
Exactly.
That director and that cast. You can replace.
And they should have put it in black and white too. I think.
They're not doing it different.
Right. And Keith, you bring up a great point, and kind of what I wanted to ask you, and kind of throw out there that the original is more effective a lot of times than if you do it shot by shot. You do all the things, all the steps, and it's not as effective. Now, here's my thoughts on that: the times it was released, when it was released, because I think back 70s, 80s, 90s up to now, TV, movies, it was an event. You had to be in your house to watch it. You didn't have a recorder. You had to go to the movies. It was an experience. You had to go tell your buddies. They had to wait till their mom was going to take them the next week to watch it. And you had to say line for line with your other buddies that knew about it. They didn't know. And I think it was a time, and now everything is so digital. There's so much coming out so fast. I think we lose the effect of certain things. Do you agree or disagree? Or your thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. We've taken it from one premiere and one opening weekend where you have to be in the theater as a group shared experience. And we have now kind of dissipated that so that it can be, I can catch it in the movies, I can catch it on Redbox, I can catch it on cable, I can get DVD or Blu-ray, watch the behind the scenes. So whatever your level is, you can enjoy it. That's more, I think, a money mechanism. By doing that, they've shattered the specialness of it. Because also in the 70s and 80s, we only had one or two big Ghostbusters, Temple of Doom, or E.T. a year.
Right.
There wasn't 3 of them a weekend, over and over and over.
Exactly. I just wanted to hear it from somebody on that side of the fence that agrees with what I'm thinking, because I'm like, am I an idiot to think this?
No. And that's funny. I'm a weird person in that when we get a Blu-ray, I watch all the behind the scenes and making of before watching the movie.
Right. I've gotten to that level. I'll go read. I'm not a reader. I read at a sophomore level, but I do try to read, and I try to go read the books now if something's based off of that to get the behind the scenes and all that, like, to really jump into something. And that's kind of more what I'm into now is movies that are based off actual events. Nothing against good fiction. I just think we've lost. I mean, there's good comedy out there. There's some good, but it's not as much as it was in the 80s and 90s. It was just a nonstop from late 70s all the way through the early mid 90s of just nonstop bam after bam after bam.
Yeah, we had National Lampoon, and we had Blake Edwards.
Blake Edwards. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
So we love the Pink Panther movies, but we also like Porky's. So there was a kind of thing in the 80s. It was titillating.
Yeah.
Right.
I was raised with Clockwork Orange and The Sting and some pretty brutal, serious movies that I saw when I was very young. My mom worked in a movie theater. She didn't care. I was 1 year old watching Clockwork Orange.
Oh wow.
That should tell you everything you need to know right there.
Right.
We watch movies over and over again. Romantic comedies, you'll
Hamilton, I'll watch over and over.
Yeah, we are stuck on watching Hamilton.
We're a little Hamilton obsessed right now.
Are you? See, my wife watched it the other day, and I have not watched it yet. Oh
my gosh.
I haven't watched it yet.
We've seen it 6 times since it came out.
Wow. I'm not a musical person, to be quite honest. I'm not a big musical person at all. I mean, that's just, I have watched them. I've gone, that's just not my thing. Comedy's my thing. That's why I'm a stand-up comedian and I try to, but anyways, now I've got a trivia question out there for Rick in California.
Got a poster of Evita behind it. No, I'm kidding.
Evita,
I was like, nice Evita poster. No.
Oh yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Okay,
trivia question. All right, Rick, you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's see.
In the iconic movie, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, how far apart in age is Keith Coogan and Christina Adams?
In real life?
In real life, how far apart? Yeah, how far apart? Now remember, she played his older sister, and he was a younger brother. Who's the oldest? Who's the oldest, and how far apart in age? How far apart in age are they?
I'm gonna say they're actually the same age, but she is the older one of the two, probably just a few months.
Keith, would you like to answer this?
I'm a year older than Christina, but I played 2 years younger than her.
Oh, all right. You, Andy. I gave up my points the other day at the radio station.
You did. On our radio show, we got a radio show all about the laughs on Power 108.9. We always have this banner about music trivia, movie. So I was like, I got him on this. I was like, this is something I'm going to get him on. Yeah.
I've been swinging a miss here lately. So
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. Did you know that the house from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead was also in the opening credits of Just the 10 of Us?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I saw when you were out there at the house. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's hilarious. That is awesome. Hey, Pinky,
Yes.
did you ever get Kevin Bacon's autograph? Because I know he was running from you somewhere on one of the.
Did not watch the end of the thing?
No, I didn't.
You didn't watch the end.
It went out. It went out. It went out. My phone went out. It literally died.
It is a long video.
I have several pictures with Kevin throughout the years. That actually wasn't my first time getting him. I'd gotten him like 10 years ago or something. He's nice. We got him really well together at an event. Remember, we got the best, for the I Love Dick.
Yeah. They were really promoting I Love Dick. And I finally got to meet Griffin Dunn.
Oh, yeah.
At their event.
We went to a Television Academy event that Kevin was there, and he was, shwilling for votes. So he was super nice to everybody, and we got the greatest picture with him. We should have, no, that was it. We'll put it another time.
Griffin Dunn was originally going to be Gus, the slimy office guy, but the older one played by the guy from The Fly. Anyway, but he was committed to doing My Girl.
Oh.
So he couldn't be Gus in Don't Tell on the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh, really? Really?
We just rewatched My Girl.
We just
Wow, that's great.
Because that's really Catherine Hahn was amazing. I Love Dick was getting a big push.
Right.
And so in that video, everyone's talking Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. But yeah, I did.
So great. So Keith, let me ask this. What movie did you miss out on, or you wanted, or you thought you had, like the big one thing that kind of got away from you that you really were just yeah, I mean, is it one, or is there, I mean, dude, you've been in so much. There's probably lots, but what's, is there like one big one? Like, I think it just to give Russell Crowe had missed out on being in Lord of the Rings and missed out on $100 million. So that's just a reference. Yeah.
Because you were
yes. Well, I did audition and get really close to E.T.
Oh,
I
really?
also screen tested.
But you got tricked. Tell them the trick.
Oh, I got tricked. So Spielberg in Amblin, Spielberg had a bunch of video games, and I love video games. And he had Battlezone, the original Vector Graphics Battlezone stand-up cabinet. So he's coming, my video games. Want to check them out? Sure. And I'm like playing. He goes, okay, you want to come over and read the scene? And I'm like, no, I love this game. So he would purposely put them to see if the kids had the focus. And I didn't.
That's dirty. That's so dirty. That is dirty.
Oh, it's dirty, all right. I did screen test for Lord of the Rings, which, because who was producing it, was known for pretty cheesy movies of the week. We went, wait a second, you want to shoot 3 movies at the same time and take the cast for 6 months to New Zealand to... I was already like, this looks really weird. But my screen test was Frodo crying over... No, Samwise. I went up for Sam.
You went up for Sam?
I went up for Samwise.
Oh, wow.
And I was crying over Frodo's body as I take the ring off of his body. That was the audition scene.
Oh, my God.
Tough. And I'm sure Sean Astin broke down the Toy Soldiers audition for like a crying thingy. And then in the movie, we're like, rolling. Sean can cry. There's a few people that can cry on cue in this town.
Right.
There you go. And to talk about how much money that could have been for. But also, I auditioned for Goonies and Gremlins and Stand By Me and A Christmas Story and Say Anything.
Everything.
And 15 Candles and on and on.
Just all of them.
You know
Oh,
you're
God.
wrong when you get the script, you read it, and you're like, I'm not Lloyd Dobler by any stretch.
And when he walked into Goonies, he saw Corey, and he's like, well, Corey's mouth. I mean,
yeah, I'm going to go out. And they actually brought all the kids in together to Amblin. And in the middle of Amblin, they had a plexiglass case that had like a 3-foot One-Eyed Willie ship, like a scale model of the ship. So we're all looking at this scale model, which has got like, fake water and like, it's so cool. It's really detailed. And we're having fun. And I look across the plexiglass at Feldman. And I know him, he's already won a Clio for his McDonald's commercial. And I've worked with Feldman. We were Fox and the Hound. And
Fox and the Hound, yep.
And I'm going up for mouth. And already it's hard for me to do impressions and stuff like that. But I could do it. It's a role. Fine. He is mouth. So I ask him, who are you going up for? He's like, mouth. And I'm like, oh, God. Why? Why do I even bother? Of course he's going to be mouth. You get Will Wheaton walked up to my autograph table once. We were at autograph convention.
Oh, good. This was going to be my next point.
Yeah.
I'm glad. No, go ahead.
And Pinky saw this. She sees how competitive we are with each other.
It's insane.
And it's FOMO. It's fear of missing out.
It's so crazy. They all walk up to each other's tables and go, you beat me for this, you beat me for this, you beat me for this. Like Sean Astin's at his table going, you got Adventures of Babysitting over me. You did this for me. And I'm like, I think you're fine. Like,
I go, you got Rudy. Relax.
You're in Goonies. You're in Lord of the Rings. Like, calm down about no.
She's like, everybody shut up.
And yet they're still like obsessed with it. All of them. Tell him your thing with Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton walks to the table and he looks at the table and he goes, that one. And he points at Adventures of Babysitting. And I'm like, what? He goes, I really wished I'd been in that movie. And I said, well, for me, it's Stand By Me. I wish I was in Stand By Me. Right. And he goes, would you switch? And I thought about it and I went, no, I wouldn't. And he goes, there you go.
So everybody gets what they're supposed to get.
But
yeah,
but it's so cool being in that circle of so many iconic movies, and you were there in the mix of it, and just watching it from beginning to end to go to where it is. That is just really cool, and it's really cool back stuff that nobody really knows in here.
Yeah.
It's
I was lucky it was 80s because people have a certain fondness for that kind of movie, though. That time, the way that movies felt and looked and how they made you feel after you left them. There was care to the plot and stuff like that, and they cast interesting looking people that weren't just all stamped out of a model of like some underwear model and then make 9 of them look alike and put them in some vampire movie. I don't know. Sorry,
you're right. No. There's a connection. There was a connection there, and that goes back to what we were talking about. There was a connection going to the movies. There was a connection to those characters, to those movies that are still going on to this day. You know. Yeah. So it's huge. It's huge. And the fact, they're trying to stamp and remake it. It's like, all right, don't stamp remake. Do it with passion. Do it with some conviction. And do it, to the original as best you can. Of course, it's going to make money because people are going to come out to see it to see if it's. And of course, everybody's going to walk out and go, it wasn't good as the original. Damn it.
The trick is to redo it, but don't brand it as such.
Right.
Yeah. They have a new marketing campaign, a new title, a new poster, all new cast, and you make people think, oh, that looks interesting. Let me go see that. They watch it and they go, this is a remake. Midway through, then you start Easter egging them. Yep. About half an hour in, you go, now you realize what this is, isn't it? And you start pounding them, then you throw some cameos at them. That's how you do a remake, is you retitle it, reconceptualize it, and make people realize, oh my God, they just remade 10 Things That I Hate About You or something like that.
Exactly.
I think that's the way to do it.
No, that's awesome. No, it's exactly what I keep telling my wife. I was like, that's what they need. They need to do something like that and throw things around. That's perfect. I couldn't agree with you more. We need to get together and make some movies. Anyways. Well, folks, we're at the hour mark. I want to, don't want to drag your guys' time out any longer than we wanted. We normally do an hour show. We could probably go for 2 hours. I don't want to Joe Rogan you to death or nothing. No. Hey, Rick, you got one last question before we kind of wrap it up and land the plane and let Keith and Pinky get back to hanging out?
Do we see any more YouTube videos coming from you guys? And I know it's we're all being quarantined and whatnot, but do you have any projects that's coming up for anything new or that you can talk about?
I did the Quarantine Bunch. So it's a web series. It's former child actors that have a secret support group. And because of COVID-19, they're forced to take it online to a Zoom meeting.
I've seen that.
So you can dial in and watch those meetings. And it's kind of anti-comedy. So if you like your Tom Green and you're like kind of stuff that makes a real left turn, I love it. I think it's demented and subverted, and but it's not sold that way. I love that about stuff that kind of pretends it's one. It's more like, remember the Too Many Cooks?
Right.
Yes.
Thing with Too Many Cooks? It's more along those lines than you think. I love it. It gets twisted. And then Quarantine Bunch and
but for our YouTube channel, we really haven't even started. We've just been like pulling from old videos that we had and just like putting our, like dipping our foot in the water and seeing what people liked or don't like. And then, but really we have a whole like array of things we want to do. We just haven't done it.
I mean, number one, I want to do commentaries. Well, I put on the movie and watch it along. And I'll tell you everything about making the movie while we do it. Do it, Don't Mom. Do it, Adventures of Babysitters. Do it, Toy Soldiers.
Dude, that would be awesome.
We want to do,
right?
We've got Pinky's Picks, following her, getting people, telling stories about getting the pictures. I love it. I'm fascinated with that. The lingo, the jargon, the community of people that do that.
Yeah, someone made a YouTube. Someone made a little short film about me, like in, I don't know, like early 2000s, called Pinky's Fan Dance, that's on YouTube. And they just follow me around, and then it's kind of like what you did too. So it's kind of funny just going around and getting them. But there's we want to make a documentary about it just because it's so fascinating, like the whole behind the scenes and the jargon and the lingo and
then we shot also
how much goes into
a bunch of 2-question interviews. We have a bunch of ones where we ask the same question she asked me when we met. We ask of them.
Yeah, which is, when was the first time you were recognized, and what weird fan stories do you have? Because I just think those are interesting questions, and they're quick, you know, and we have a bunch of people that have been through them, so we want to show
this is just teasers, getting you into kind of like our universe, so you see what we do. And of course, we're showing the best curated stuff, the champagne and Pismo Beach, and, you know, a life that we wish to project. Of course, everybody does that. But honestly, from waking up, and this girl keeps me busy, this is our life. And so we're just kind of sharing it. We're opening up. So I'll go back and look through videos and go, oh, there's a short piece, post that. We're going to start producing pieces soon. I think the one Keith and Pinky's 2017 Sundance visit, the Blizzard edition, is the most produced so far. Just kind of cutting it together, but most of it's pretty raw. And then and I also want to do locations, and visit movie location sites. Too. So the channel will have a lot of that stuff.
And we want to do either like a what's your line thing, where he talks to people about their famous lines and, like, you know, if they love it, if they hate it, what happens with that. And like, we like getting people to read each other's lines, you know, like we just did the one with Joanna and Keith, where Joanna said dishes are done. He said,
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
I like this. I don't know.
That's awesome. No, those are great ideas, and those are things I think people will definitely grab onto. I'm already interested. I'm ready for you to sit down and watch you talk about watching Adventures in Babysitting and all that, or Don't Tell Mom the Babysitters. They're like, this is what went on. This is what happened. That's what real fan and everybody can gravitate to with everything that you're doing, because both of you work it's amazing how well y'all work together. She's on the fan side, the huge fan side, and then y'all dodgeball it back and, you know, kick it back and forth in a very cool way. It's very interesting. I was like, this is really cool. Because you just don't see that, and it's really interesting because the fans can latch on to Piggy, the people who are fans of Keith, and people go, what? Well, he's just filming. He's just, I'm the husband right now. It's her, you know, this is her. This is, you know, where, you know.
Our relationship boils down to, I think there's a moment with Jason Ritter, and you're like, I run into like the casting, you know, on his shows, and like, what about Keith Coogan or whatever? And I go, in my mind, as a staunch veteran, rule, SAG kind of guy, I'm like, you don't do that. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. Then she goes and she does it anyway, and then it works. So I'm not going to tell her how to do. You do.
I'm like, ask Kevin. Ask him for what you want. You don't know. All they can do is say no. You know.
Right.
To help the scam though is you got to go back 35 years and do a bunch of movies and stuff. But if you've done that, then you can pull the second part of the con.
Only spend half your life pulling that off. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it has been a pleasure having Keith Coogan and Pinky.
You guys are going to post this, right?
Oh, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're going to make sure it goes to YouTube. It's going to be all over. So y'all, you know.
Pinky's like, in my ear, she's like, I want a screenshot of this.
I can right now. Oh,
okay.
Wait, no, I can't.
It's okay. I'll edit you out. Anything you want, I'll send you the whole upload. I'll edit out anything.
All on it with our names and everything like that.
Oh no, that's easy. That's an easy
video.
You ask and you will receive really quick.
Yeah. Nice.
You ask and you will receive. Plus, I can do some other things with the editing software and send you all anything you want and help you out for. And plus, you first podcast. Thank you for letting us. Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll send you the link, and y'all can put it on the Keith and Pinky's Hollywood Tales YouTube channel. So a little bit more content for Keith and Pinky's Hollywood Tales.
Exactly. We're huge fans. We're, you know, and I can't thank you guys enough. This has been a pleasure. It's been a hoot. I've had a blast. You know, I'd love to have you back anytime. Definitely. And I think we got some other things coming up, like to talk to you about on our radio show on Power 108.9. All about the last that we do. All about the last. So, anything you want to say, Keith, Pinky, about anything before we get out of here and kick off our weekend?
Thanks for having us on. Thanks for the interview and helping us plug the.
Thanks for having us. Do we sell
YouTube?
Your cameos?
I do cameos, and also I sell signed dishes with the "Dishes are done, man" quote on the dish, and also autographed pictures and stuff at KeithCooganOnline.com, the official site for Keith Coogan.
Nice.
And proudly, as a nerd, I built it myself and all that good stuff. And
that's awesome. I'm gonna
stuff and I sign every dish, and yeah.
I want to get a plate signed, and I want you to sign my 12-gauge shotgun, and then that's what I need you to do.
Never signed a shotgun, have you?
I will absolutely sign
your first shotgun.
That's
exciting.
If you've got to guarantee me the first signing. If this is your first shotgun, I got it. I want to make sure that it's mine. I want it. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
The first podcast, the first shotgun. We're all about
first podcast. It's all about the first here, the Fat Thor Lockdown Challenge. Let's close this out with a bang, folks. It's been great. Hey, Keith Coogan.
Absolutely.
Pinky Coogan. Rick Wings in California. He's doing some shows. He's going to movies tomorrow. They eat some movies.
Yeah.
You've heard a lot of firsts here tonight, folks. I'm getting a plate. I'm getting my Keith Coogan's first shotgun autograph. It's happening. Check out Keith and Pinky Hollywood Tales on YouTube. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Have a great weekend. It's Friday night. Be safe. Be happy. This is not Thor Lockdown Challenge. Thank you. Be good. Be safe. We're out.
Peace.